Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're going to be putting some aluminum AWT scales on the Native 5 Salt Edition, which is Magna Cut steel, same as the Native 5 Lightweight. These are from AWT. I got them on sale for they're blemished. So on the front here, you'll see, didn't do a good job cleaning these before I put this together, but some very faint scratches on both sides. They're a little hard to see on the camera, but it's almost half price. So definitely worth it, in my opinion, unless you're, I guess, like a collector or something, and you want them to be pristine. But you can kind of see some of the scratches that are just going along the scale here. But this is the cast iron color. It's just kind of like a metal gray. It's not very exciting, but I think it looks great, and definitely a worthwhile upgrade for the Native 5. So we're going to be just kind of putting it back together here and going through some brief description of the Native 5. So we'll move these scales to the side. I really like the Native 5. I think it's a great size. It's very easy to hold in one hand, and you can kind of choke up on it a little bit, or it's easy to just hold without the forward finger choil. But it is really a great size, and I've enjoyed carrying it for quite some time here. But kind of just getting into it, the first thing that I noticed when I got these and I went to put it together was this little triangle here. There's some oil on there compared to the actual original Spyderco scales, where it's this hexagon to put the little pin in. So I was like, oh my gosh, they sent me the wrong ones. But I took my other Native 5 Lightweight apart, and it is the same thing. So this will fit in here. You just kind of have to pop it in a little bit. It does actually work for the Native 5 Lightweight and the Native 5 Salt version, which is kind of just Spyderco's waterline. If you're not familiar with it, they're knives that are supposed to be highly corrosive resistant, and you're able to use them in and around water. This is one of the tricky parts of kind of putting this back together here. Just gonna twist it around and play a little bit, and it'll click into place there. That's just so that this doesn't rotate when you're installing the screws. So what I like to do is I always like to make sure that goes in first, and I put the screws in. And Spyderco's pivot screws are T8 as well as body screws. They use T6 clip screws, at least that I'm familiar with. I shouldn't say for all of them. So kind of crank that down, get it tight, and then we will throw our spring in here. So this is the spring for the back lock that just kind of fits very nicely into the scale there. Just pop it right in, and then we'll take our actual back lock part and pop it into the pinhole place here. So just like that, and we see it go in, and now you have your locking mechanism kind of in place. So you push down, and that will release the blade and allow it to unlock. There's some nice milling inside here by AWT. I think that's just kind of a cool little addition. And by the way, I think I forgot to mention at the beginning of the video, all AWT products are made in the USA, which is pretty cool. So great to support an American company. Comes with a little warranty pack, nothing on the back, but made in the USA 100%, which is pretty cool. I definitely support that. Now, one thing that I have learned in installing these is these washers on here. Sometimes once you install the whole, you put the blade on and you install the other scale, this will kind of get dislodged a little bit and be slightly off. So if it's not exactly in the center, you're going to see just a slight gap in your back lock right there. So like there on the other side will have a slight gap, and there might be a little bit of wiggle in the blade. It's still functional, and you honestly might not even notice. I just kind of thought that's how it was at first until I took it apart again and realized that's what was happening. So it's important, just make sure that your washer is directly centered around the pivot here. You can put some oil on there. I just kind of oiled this up, so I'm not going to do it again. But make sure you apply a generous amount of oil and then wipe off the excess there. And now to put the blade on, just push your lock up a little far, and it should pop right on there. But that's essentially how the locking mechanism works here. We see, as we push this up, it'll release the blade and allow us to slide along here. Now, same thing with this other washer. Make sure it is exactly over the pivot. See, it'll kind of be like that. So you can see it's not directly over the pivot. If I pick this up without falling off. So you want it to be directly centered over the pivot before you pop the other scale on. And that will solve your problems with blade play, as well as there being a little gap kind of up by the locking mechanism. So very important. Just make sure you have it done right. It's a very, very easy fix. We'll pop the scales on. Yep, see, so there's no gap there at all. No wiggle in the blade at all. We'll toss this pivot screw back in here. Tighten it up. So as you can kind of see, the Native 5 is super, super easy to take back apart, or excuse me, take apart and put back together. It's not hard at all. Locking knives like that with the lock back are very simple inside. The tricky part with figuring out this one was just the washers, and I didn't really know what was causing it. I just kind of thought that's how the scales were until I took it apart again and realized, okay, the washers are not going on properly. And AWT will send washers with their scales. These are even the blemished ones, and they do send those with it. So it'll make for a more smooth action on the Native 5. Versus with the plastic ones, you see there are no washers and like no space for washers in there. The blade just rests on it, how it is. I don't use the clip on this. I think it's nice to just kind of throw in the pocket. But we'll see. Dead centered blade, no blade play at all. It's rock solid lockup. I really enjoy these scales. I think it's definitely a worthwhile upgrade for your Native 5. I mean, the plastic scales are fine. I have another Native 5 that has plastic scales that I leave on that I don't mind. But I really think this is a fantastic upgrade. It just feels way more sturdy. I'm really happy with the AWT scales, and I'll probably be ordering more scales for some of my other knives. I have, paramilitary 2 here that I'd like to get some aluminum scales for too. The feel of it is fantastic. It's much better than the plastic. I like aluminum better than G10. It's just a personal preference thing. I know some people are the opposite. Aluminum will show scratches more than G10, I think. You can see I've had this paramilitary 2 for a long time. And this is just, again, the blemish scratches on there, you can barely see them. Even off the camera, you can barely see them unless you're looking at it in the light right. So in my opinion, definitely worth ordering the blemish at a dramatically reduced price. But have nothing but good things to say about the experience with AWT. Very fast shipping, 100% made in the USA, and they fit and function perfectly. So with that, we'll wrap it up here. We just crossed the 500 subscriber mark, so thank you so much to all of you who've subscribed and continue watching. It really, really means a lot to me. And please let me know, as always, if there's anything that you'd like to see. Don't be shy. Just leave a comment, and I'll be happy to make a video about it. But again, thank you so much for watching. I really, really do appreciate it.